First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to the Hopkins County GOP Candidate Forum. We feel very privileged that we've got these candidates here tonight that are running for City Council and for the Sulphur Springs Independent School Board. These candidates are going to communicate to us their vision, their ideas, their hopes, and hopefully they'll tell us how they're going to accomplish those goals. I think it's commendable for citizens to step forward to run for these offices. They're really doing something. They're not naysayers just talking about what someone else is doing wrong. They're actually doing something. And these people have decided to run knowing full well that they're going to get very little thanks from their fellow citizens, but they will get plenty of criticism for anything that they do. And I mean anything, because you're going to make some people happy and some people sad with whatever decision you make. And so I commend you, each and every one of you, for running, because it takes a lot to put your name on the line and run for any election. And you know, at this level, you're truly citizen politicians, and I think that's what really that our founders envisioned when they started this great nation of ours, was that we'd have citizen politicians. And it's evolved into something a little more than that throughout the years. But again, I commend you, and I would like for everyone here to give you all a round of applause, because I think you deserve it. At this time, I'm going to call Mr. Charles Oxford up, and Charles is incumbent city councilman. I believe this is his second term. Am I correct, Charles? Second term? And he is going to speak, and then we will take questions, and then afterwards we will go to we will start for the trustees for the school board and have them up. Mr. Oxford.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you who are here tonight, and to the Republican Party specifically for having this event. Let me be sure that something is very clear with the statement of second term. I'm seeking my second term. I am not now in my second term. So I'm counting on your votes to make that second term. Now let me share, well, I'm going to tell you a funny story, if I may digress for just a moment. There's a real young gentleman about my age that decided long, long ago he wanted to have a beautiful red convertible car. But with raising kids and educating them, they just never quite got around to it. So he decided one day he's going to go down to the dealer and look at that beautiful red convertible they had. He did. The dealers knew him, all the dealers, salesmen, and so on, knew him well. He asked if he could cape for a little spin. Oh, sure, go right ahead. So he takes it out on the interstate and runs it up to 70 and then 80 and then 90. And he says, I think it'll see if it'll hit 100. And he did, and all of a sudden behind him these red flashing lights showed up. He said, I think I'm going to see if I can outdo him. And he said, well, maybe I better just stop and take my medicine. He did. The trooper got out, came up to his door, said, sir, I'm supposed to get off in 30 minutes. If you can tell me a story to justify what you were doing that I have never heard before, I'm going to let you off. Well, the driver stopped and paused for a moment. He said, well, officer, I'm almost afraid to tell you this story, but my wife ran off with a state trooper a long time ago, and I thought you were bringing her back. He got off. I am Charles Oxford, and I grew up in Mineola, well, Wood County, most of it in Mineola. Attended Mineola High Schools all the way through, and was a very active student in various extracurricular activities except sports. I loved sports, but I didn't play them. I didn't think I had what it took to play sports. Or maybe I was just a coward getting hurt somewhere. But anyway, I graduated from Manila High School, had a job all the way through in a store downtown. And related to that, the school year of 53 and 54, some of you may remember the old Davenport store down on the southwest corner of the square. I ran that store as a 16-year-old high school kid part of that summer. Also that same school year, I did a musical performance at the high school on Connolly Street. So I had a little bit of connection with Sulphur Springs way back then. And I hadn't even thought about that until I had been here several months after I moved back to Texas. I then went on to the University of North Texas and received my degree in BBA in marketing in January of 1960. My graduation was delayed just a little bit because in April 16th of 1959, only 6 weeks before I was supposed to receive my degree, I was in an automobile accident. The car rolled over me. At the time, the best neurosurgeon and the best orthopedic surgeon in Dallas at Methodist Hospital said I would never walk again. I lay there completely unconscious for 6 weeks, unable to move. They come in with that little thing and scratch you to see if you feel anything. I didn't even know they were doing it. And all of a sudden, at about the end of that 6-week period of time, I had what the media today calls an out-of-body experience, and I'm sure some of you have heard about that. But I went to the gates of heaven and came back. And the next morning I was completely cured, completely healed. They came in with their little scratchy thing and touched everything all over my body, and there was no place that I didn't feel the pain of that scratch as they did it. So I graduated a semester late, was allowed to go back into school in the fall at the same place I dropped out the previous spring, and graduated with, as I said, my BBA degree. With that, I went to work for Citgo Oil Company and was immediately transferred to Birmingham and then to Miami. Then Uncle Sam sent me a letter, said, "We want you." So they said also, if you want to do something other than the Army, you better do it quickly because you'll probably be coming up, your number will probably come up next month. Well, I tried to get into a section of the Navy, but it required 6 weeks for an intensive security clearance, which I thought was amusing at me, 21-year-old. What could I have done by the age of 21? But anyway, that was the rules. Well, I didn't have time, so I volunteered for the Army to get in and get out and get it over with. And in the Army, I made E5 in 16 months. Some of this has nothing to do about anything related to campaigning or politics or serving you, but it's just some of my background. I had the highest rifle range score of anyone on Fort Bliss base at that time. That's probably been beaten by now. I was selected Soldier of the Quarter twice during my 2-year term, and I got out with an honorable discharge. At that point, I went to work for a division of Sterling Drug. You may not know who Sterling Drug is, but I'll mention a couple of brand names and you know immediately then. Lysol spray, all the Lysol brand products, and several different cosmetic companies, several different drug companies, and a couple of industrial companies that are virtual monopolies. One of them, just as a point of interest, one of them made these little color granules that you see in your powder detergents today that makes clothes come whiter, they say. I don't know, but that's what they say. And another one makes a series of products that every sewer system in the United States used to make the water clean enough to go back into the rivers and lakes and ocean and so on. And I worked in the professional division, which was primarily, almost exclusively, hospital business. So I called on hospitals in East Texas, western half of Louisiana, all of Arkansas, and the eastern half of Oklahoma for 3 years. Then I was transferred to Indianapolis, where I had 7 states, then to San Francisco, where I had 12 states, and then to New York City area, where I had the nation. I made a joke along the way. I said, every time I hang my last picture, I get transferred, so I quit hanging pictures. thinking that that might settle down. So I spent a number of years in the New York area as a national manager of contract sales. That was my primary job. I called on all cities, federal government installations and state capitals for contracting for our product groups, and taught the sales organization how to deal with cities, counties, and school districts for the same things. In addition to that, it was my responsibility, if we had a product liability lawsuit somewhere in the United States, and being that somebody thought our product had injured them in some way, I was the corporate designee to represent the company at trial. I also was responsible for handling employees who might have filed a complaint with their state labor board because they were disgruntled for some reason, and I was again the corporate designee to go handle those cases. I am proud to say I never lost a single case and enjoyed all of that very, very much. In 1983, I was retired, and I haven't had a payroll check since. It's been a long, dry spell. It's a long way from 1983. At the time, I moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and was bought a business, started two more, and operated all three for almost 22 years. And then I was also on several committees or commissions or boards, whatever they happen to be called in the city of Hot Springs, for a number of years, and enjoyed that very much. I guess that's what really got me hooked on city government.